Minneapolis, St. Paul, The Fan.
Yep. Fan the Flame, fan the Flame, fan the Flame, fan the Flame. Gabe Henderson, Vikings Entertainment Network, Vikings.com, formerly a wide receiver for Division I Liberty. And he is a Flame fanner, and he's nice enough to join us at the TCO studios. Where's the Arby's? Didn't bring in any potato cakes. I mean, we got no Arby's. What's
no beef and cheddars in the house this morning?
No beef and cheddars today. Maybe
yes.
Friday. Maybe Friday at football feast.
Well, that'd be good. Come into a Buffalo Wild Wings with Arby's. Boy, you're really playing fast right now. Seriously. I mean, up with Good Burger. Let's just build this thing up step by step. Okay? Because it blew me away yesterday, 9 to noon, when I saw this.
Yeah.
What's up with Good Burger? Let's just build it up one by one.
So
okay, where's the Arby's? We have no beef and cheddar.
We have no beef and cheddar.
What's up with Good Burger?
Good Burger is one of my favorite movies growing up, and Good Burger 2 is coming out next Friday. I believe it's next Wednesday. I believe it's streaming on Paramount Plus, and I got asked last minute to be a part of the commercial for that, and I was like, "What? You sure?" Like, so a guy that we all know needed someone to fill in, and I think I was telling Nordo this, I'm just trying to, find opportunities for my daughter as far as like, hey, this is blah, 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 blah,
well,
blah.
let me guess. It was Alberino who was going to be in that spot.
Yep.
Well, how did I guess that? He's in T-Mobile. I mean, yeah, okay. I see where this thing's going now.
So, long story short, it turned into one thing, and then how our Saturdays are the only day off that we get off during the year. Home game Saturdays. Yeah. So this was a home game weekend when they asked me to do it, and kind of just ran with the punches, and I didn't think it would be this big for you to, retweet the Arby's commercial with your show.
You're in a nationwide commercial. You're one of my best friends. Yeah. You didn't tell me about it, or us. Why didn't you tell me or us that this was happening?
I'm humble. I keep everything. Like, I don't.
It's not, you wouldn't be braggadocious. Yeah. It'd just be like, hey, Jordan can't do this. I'm going to jump in here, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. I'll be like, hey, fist bump.
Well, honestly, I didn't know the significance of this going into it. Like, I knew it was supposed to be something for Nickelodeon, Arby's, and Paramount, but I didn't know like the big.
So you're getting paid by 3 separate entities.
I wouldn't say that. Just the Wolves signed my paycheck, and I'm happy to be a part of the Minnesota Vikings. But with that said, this is this was a great opportunity.
You're talking to somebody with 3.5 jobs, so supplemental income can be king. Go ahead.
Just trying to figure out, what it was. I think afterwards I got an email. It was like, hey, look, there's going to be 2 commercial spots. Gabe, we want you to be the hero for this. So like, we got some pictures of you. How does this sound? Like, do you want to do this? And
they got some pictures of you. What's that mean? They must have liked you and like what they saw with the smile and the cheekbones, and you're in shape, you're athletic. I mean, yeah, we see where this is going.
That might be their take on this. So I kind of just, ran with the punches. When I saw it, I told my mom after I saw it, I was like, hey, Ma, by the way, before you start laughing and making jokes, my family, they love it, right? Like my mom, my dad, my brother, they're all proud of me. But like similar to my boys back at home, they don't let me enjoy my success without telling a joke. Like, that's just kind of like our relationship. Like, my dad could hit a grand slam in the World Series Game 7. My first comment is going to be, well, you tripped over first base, bro. Like what's your problem? So that's just kind of how our relationship evolved. But
that's good.
I didn't know how big it would be until about 2 days ago. And when I retweeted it, I saw you retweet it, and it's kind of taken off.
Nordo was not, he didn't produce yesterday. Do you know what we're talking about?
Yeah.
So you've seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, we were talking about it.
It's good. Isn't it good?
It's a good commercial.
I mean, it's a nationwide Arby's commercial, and our guy killed it.
No, he did it.
Murdered it. It was unbelievable how good you were. So
appreciate it.
So, I mean,
do we know how long this campaign is stretching out here?
It's about a 12-month campaign.
Oh, come on!
It's about a 12-month campaign.
Mailbox
Are you on
money,
billboards,
bikes, bites,
lunch boxes.
Maybe I'm on a couple of T-shirts.
Let's franchise this thing. Come on.
Well, I was just trying to figure out, conflict of interest, right? Like that's like my biggest thing right now. Is like I want to make sure that this doesn't affect anything, and I got word that it does not. So it's just more so just trying to figure out, okay, like how big is this thing? Like I asked questions throughout the whole process, but still, it was like, oh shoot, like this is going crazy.
Okay, so
right
you've
now.
lied to us because you said this thing came up within like 24 hours, and all of a sudden Jordan Alberino's phenomenal at what he does. Scratch. So now we're going to slide Gabe in.
Yeah.
Well, now all of a sudden we're hearing there were meetings and conflict of interest.
No, post meeting. So like after.
So you did it without permission.
No. It's going to turn out hopefully to sell more burgers at Arby's, and hopefully.
Are we going to see you during the Super Bowl?
No.
What if the Vikings are playing in the Super Bowl? You're in the Vox box, and we're watching the TV. At KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network, driven by Polaris. Hey, Gabe's on TV. Oh, these Super Bowl 15s cost like $450,000. There's G.
Man, hopefully my daughter's in those spots.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can look at like, hey, that's Gabriella. Blah 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 blah. But
yeah, what happens during? I mean, because Vikings, if the Vikings were to make it to the Super Bowl, you have Radio Row, right?
Yeah.
He's going to be busy doing meet and greets. Who's going to do the Vikings.com content?
Yeah. Where's the Super Bowl? Vegas.
I think it's in Vegas.
It's in
All
Vegas
right, so 9 to noon is 7 to 10.
Yep.
Which means, hey, Nordo set up Gabe for 9:03. We're tripping on this straddle, so where is he? We can't find him. Oh, wait, he's over there being interviewed by Jim Rome, and then he can't make hour 9 because Dan Patrick is next. I mean, come on, man. Are you angling to become a male model?
I will be in the radio booth with you guys talking on 7 to 10.
Are you angling to become a male model?
I don't know, PA. I don't know.
You didn't say no.
If the right opportunity presents itself, I think I would be crazy to say no. Especially at this point in my career, being a new dad, having a new mouth to feed. I just want to make sure that she's set for life, and while still being able to do what I love. Like I love my job here. Like I love talking ball. I like this organization, especially coming from Washington. I mean, we know how crazy that situation was. So just being able to supply for. I mean, I guess. Provide for my family.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing throughout all this.
I understand. Keeping options open outside of here with this.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
This being the baseline.
Yeah, I love what I do. I mean, the main thing is the main thing, and the main thing has always the reason why I'm in Minnesota is because of this job, and that's the reason why I want to stay in Minnesota. So,
okay, so Gabe Henderson at Gabe A. Henderson via Twitter. For those of you late to the conversation or don't know what we're talking about,
he'll be at MOA on Black Friday making $10,000 walking around in a good burger
outside
outfit.
of Barnes and Noble in a year signing his new book. What it took to become a star in an Arby's commercial.
2 to 4 p.m. signing T-shirts.
But there's a nationwide Arby's commercial that is running, and Gabe is in. Is it 15 seconds?
30.
It's a 30.
Yeah, it's a 30. And Gabe Henderson, our Gabe Henderson is all over it. I allegedly am one of his best friends, and he didn't tell me this was happening, which was a bit troubling.
I didn't tell my mom.
You didn't really?
I told her close to right after I did it. I told her afterwards because I didn't know. I didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't know, so.
Well, you got some Arby's comps for us?
You need something? Maybe I can pull a string here or there. No.
Lastly, I don't know how many takes this thing took. What's it called? Good Burger?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how many takes this took.
Yep.
Where did you get those acting skills? I mean, being natural on camera ain't easy.
I mean, I've been being on camera for about 4 years here, which has kind of helped that process, especially when it comes to talking and just being comfortable. So I think the big thing was just dancing in front of the camera because nobody sees me dance, and I love to dance.
Right.
Not many people know that. In my house, with my family, I'm the dancer in the family. So the fact that they were like, dude, just be yourself, that was uncomfortable. But as far as talking, acting, being, and just being myself, I feel like that kind of came a little bit easy.
Okay.
It was just the uncomfortable feeling of moving.
So is 9 to noon the only entity teasing you and loving you about this, or is it a thing around the building? It's a little bit of a thing, isn't it?
A little bit of both.
That's good because you did a good job.
But thank you. But you know how uncomfortable I am with people giving me credit, because I'm always giving and always pushing it back. That's just who I am as a person. But I've been able to accept some of the compliments, so I appreciate it.
It's good, man. No, you did a great job.
Thank you.
And hopefully there's more on the horizon. It's like our mutual friend Ron Johnson, who's probably listening right now. I think he did one shoe commercial. It might have been for Puma. So we ain't talking, Nike. We ain't talking any of that. And you talk to Ron after that, you would have thought he just signed up with Versace. And all of a sudden he can be doing some Lululemon type stuff or something like that.
I mean, it's a balance between, self-confidence and self-awareness. And I always try to, straddle that line between the two. So
So that's why you're growing your hair out for a new TV type look with curls and stuff like that.
I mean, maybe the curly fries at Arby's. Maybe they can give me a tease with my curly hair. So yeah, I don't know what. Honestly, you brought that up in Atlanta. I don't know what I'm doing with my hair right now. I just line it up every day and just kind of.
I've been like that for 2.5 years.
Really?
So
I mean, it gets cold here. It gets too cold to have a brush cut.
You can't grow your hair. You can grow your hair long.
Yeah.
I got news for you. It doesn't go down. It goes up. Okay. So that's just a reality of life.
Yeah.
With certain hairstyles. Okay.
Yep.
So it doesn't go down, it goes up.
I like that. I'll remember that.
Gabe Henderson, Vikings Entertainment Network. I've put in a fair amount of time now on the Broncos, and I don't know, man. I mean, this thing's starting to feel like last year a little bit, where you can handicap the games and you got injuries and you know who you're playing and everything. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's like plug it in and you're going to win, but I watched back their entire game against Kansas City, and I mean, Kansas City lost it more than Denver won it. Kansas City was so not interested in that. Like, we got you whenever we want you. We got you whenever. Well, no, you don't. Now they're up 2 scores.
Yep.
So they had to earn it to do it. Ain't no doubt about it. And then in the Buffalo game, I thought it was okay. Buffalo's not one of my favorite teams in the NFL, just for like handling prosperity and or handling despair. So my take as of right now, with the right to change it at the feast on Friday, is if the Vikings don't go -2 or worse in the take give, I mean, I really think we're going to win the game. What about you?
Ooh, turnovers. I mean, I think it will be close. It will still be a close game if the Vikings go -2. I do look at this Denver Broncos team as a team that starting to figure out how to win games, whether the games are handed to them the way the Chiefs did or the way the Buffalo Bills did. In this league, a win is a win. So, yeah, we do have to protect the ball, but at the same time, even with the injuries that we have, if you put both teams together and both teams play the perfect game, I see the Vikings being victorious. And that's no knock to the Denver Broncos. I just believe our coaching, our schemes, how we utilize our players in certain moments. There aren't many teams in the NFL that are doing that to the level that we are. And the fact that the Denver Broncos are still trying to figure out their offensive, scheme, like how do we throw the ball down the field? I believe going into the third quarter of the Buffalo Bills game, Russell Wilson average yards per pass were like 3.2.
Oh,
so it's like, how do we figure this thing out on offense? So I believe our defense will be able to have its way, but also at the same time, we just seem and look like the better team that's trending in the right direction at the right time.
Yeah, the Broncos defense has nabbed 9 turnovers from the Bills and the Chiefs the last 2 games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Putting them in positions. And that's what I was going to get to is, from what you've seen, and I don't expect that you've drilled down via all 22 every Russell Wilson play, but I keep hearing, and statistically I get it, he's top 3 or 4 in touchdown passes, all of these things this year, and certainly indeed taking care of the ball, being effective in the red zone, those are important components of the game. He hasn't thrown for more than 200 yards since the 1st of October.
Yep.
So in terms of what you've watched from Russell Wilson, maybe playing more efficient with the ball, but you mentioned this is not a Broncos offense by any means that's explosive, that's going to drive it over the top on you. And in some ways, it's a little bit different than the Russell Wilson that I'm familiar with and the Sean Payton that I'm familiar with from his days coaching the Saints.
Yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson is a guy that he overthinks everything. I mean, and I feel like that contributes to the 512 sacks that he's taken in his career. He's the most sacked quarterback since 2012, and a lot of those sacks are due to him just being indecisive. Granted, Russell Wilson is a gamer, so last week there were a few plays in Buffalo where he just made a play out of no play, and that's the part of Russ that you say, okay, this is a Super Bowl Russ that we're getting a sample of. And
that throw to Cortland Sutton on the near side against the Bills was incredible.
Kind of reminded me of that throw. I think it was Monday Night Football, Seahawks versus Packers.
Yeah, back left of the end zone.
Back left of the end zone.
Yep.
And that's what Russell Wilson can do to you. So you don't want to put yourself in that situation where Russell Wilson is just going back to his, MVP-esque type playing style, but at the same time, this isn't an offense that's still trying to figure it out. Their run game, that's probably the best part of their game, but still, I just think it's a bad day if this, Denver Broncos team scores, 21 plus points on you.
The defense. So I saw this from Kevin Seifert this morning that the first 7 weeks of the season, the team blitzed nearly 58% of the time. Since then, less than, I think it was 36. And so, not that and I'm not trying to belittle or dismiss the Jordan Hicks injury, playing maybe the best football of his career, Pro Bowl caliber, that's straight from Flores' mouth. Love Jordan Hicks. But at this stage of the season, what have you seen in terms of if there was ever a time for them to weather the storm and continue on, something is happening so good with this defense in terms of its evolution through the first 10 games where you still feel like Flores is going to have a great plan dialed up, that you still feel in some ways, whether it's the strength of a DJ Wanham and a Daniil Hunter, that our defensive front playing so much better. We haven't had to blitz, yet we're getting home. Something's really good with that group.
Josh Metellus is the first person I point at. But going back to your Jordan Hicks comment, this Jordan Hicks injury is the biggest injury on this Vikings defense that we've had thus far. His what he means to this team, just both on and off the field, but in this case on, it literally is a huge blow. Like I feel like, if we lost somebody else, I'm not going to name names because
catastrophic, we'll say.
Yeah, this is borderline catastrophic for our defense because Jordan Hicks is the heart and soul of our defense. No matter what you say about anybody else, Daniil getting all these sacks, Harrison Smith being one of the selfless players on the team, Jordan Hicks' injury is huge. So Brian Flores is going to have his, work cut out for him. But at the same time, I believe Josh Metellus is a guy that can continue to be the glue of this defense with Jordan Hicks out. What we're able to do with him, his body type, he can come downhill, he can tackle, he can drop out in coverage, he can guard your best slot receiver or tight end. I believe Brian Flores is going to have to utilize him a little bit more, but maybe this is an opportunity for Anthony Barr to come in and step up. I mean, at that linebacker position, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for him to just be himself. He's in and out. He has inside linebacker help with Ivan Pace or whoever, but still, just go out there, fill a couple of gaps, make sure everybody else is playing, to their best of their ability. Like, this Minnesota community. So, don't overthink things, and hopefully our defense can, kind of weather the storm with Jordan Hicks out.
Is it realistic to expect that he would even be active or playing on Sunday, just because of the fact he hasn't played a game this year? And so he's coming in, and I'm sure, anytime you're signing a guy, there's a physical in place. So physically, Anthony Barr is going to be healthy.
Yeah.
But taking hits combined with in this defense, maybe it's a special thing that Flores is like, okay, in these spots, we're going to use it for these specific two things. How realistic is that he's playing meaningful snaps on Sunday?
I think it's very realistic, but at the same time, you have to, usher him into this defense, because the last thing you want is for him to second guess himself on the play and that be the play that loses the game or that gives the Denver Broncos a huge explosive down the field. So I do believe you put him in. If you play him, you put him in certain situations where it's like, hey, here's check one, here's check two, this is who you got, and go from there and let him grow. Like he understands the game. He's played in the game for so many years. So don't rush him into it, but at the same time, why not? Why not? I mean, this guy is a staple on this team for years past.
That 2020 wide receiver draft indeed does look like it might be the best in the history of the NFL when we get JJ. We also have KJ Osborne. Now, the Broncos took Jerry Jeudy. So Jeudy and Ruggs were the first two to go. And just over the course of time, and there's been some quarterback-related terrorism there with Wilson, Drew Lock, and stuff like that. What do you think of Jerry Jeudy? I can't figure him out.
He's a great route runner. He's fast. He's just inconsistent.
Very fast.
And that is a make or break for a wide receiver if you're inconsistent, if you don't get to your depth at every route, or you don't make every catch, because a quarterback stops trusting you. Like you want to, as a being a former quarterback, I'm only throwing the ball to a guy that I know is going to be consistent in the same spot that I expect him to be every single time. And Jerry Jeudy just hasn't been that guy. We've seen plays when he has been that guy, and it's like, dude, this might be a top 10 receiver in the NFL, but still he hasn't done that on a consistent basis. But I'm sure Brian Flores will not take him lightly, even though Cortland Sutton is playing phenomenal ball right now for the Denver Broncos. Jerry Jeudy is still a threat no matter where you put him on the field.
Any Sunday night mile-high butterflies for Josh Dobbs? This will be the first primetime game that he's played and started in this season.
Yeah. Maybe his career.
I'm trying to think.
He played
Thursday night football.
Oh, he did.
Against Anthony Barr and the Dallas Cowboys last year.
Oh, wow.
December 17th.
He's 1-2 in his nighttime career.
Damn.
I'm trying to think. What was the one win?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I just looked at his career splits. I spent 5 minutes trying to get it. I don't have the cool new access that PA has, so I was super bitter about it, and I moved on. I just know he's 1-2 in night games.
I think the nerves are going to be there, but also there's a level of upped confidence. Probably upped isn't the word to use there, but like his confidence has grown these last 2 weeks, just understanding that he understands how to win games. And all that matters in this league is wins or losses. So the fact that he's able to go to the line of scrimmage, check plays, do what he needs to do, the trust there is with Kevin O'Connell. Now the trust there is with TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison. I believe his confidence level is through the roof. This is a really good Denver Broncos defense, but still, if you're Josh Dobbs going into this game, you don't take those guys lightly. But you're 2-0, like you're the guy, like you're Josh Dobbs. So I believe he's going into that game confident. I mean, I talked to him earlier this week, and he says before he walks into the stadium, and then when he walks onto the field, he listens to a song called "Count Me Out" by Kendrick Lamar. And if you listen to the lyrics, he's been made for these moments. So he's been counted out. So I believe he's going to use that chip on his shoulder when it comes to primetime football.
Lastly, with Kevin O'Connell and the staff. So, I mean, I can't go through all of them, but coordinator Wes Phillips, quarterbacks coach Chris O'Hara, Keenan McCardell with the Super Bowl cred, and Brian Angelico, the tight ends coach, who's the passing game coordinator, and so on and so on and so on. The more I'm beginning to learn about the metamorphosis of this offense, it just seems like on the fly, now that they have 137 Dobbs plays, and they don't exactly know when he's going to run, it's challenging, stimulating, but it seems exhausting, like changing the bit on the fly. Oh, by the way, without Jefferson.
And I think it's exhausting because they've never had to think about it. The Kevin O'Connell has never had to think about, okay, if this play breaks down, right, this is the other options that we have. So now it forces him to think bigger than just what's actually planned when it comes to, okay, out route here, cut here, seam here. Now it's like, hey, forget all those plays. Josh Dobbs is out of the pocket. Everybody's a valuable option. Like, scramble drill knows no strangers because everybody is an option. So for Kevin O'Connell to now have this weapon, this weapon of Josh Dobbs' legs, I can see why this is very exhausting for him and probably an outer body experience because it's like, dude, I didn't draw this up. Like this wasn't the plan.
But see, you being a former quarterback and then a wide receiver in college, it's when you work on all these plays with Cousins, it's like you don't get to the part of the playbook where it's like, okay, if he starts running willy nilly, well, then it's street ball. And why I bring it up is on the Dobbs rushing touchdown. O'Connell pointed out either on X's and O's or his film bit with Bursage at Vikings.com. Look at Brandon Powell. Good for Brandon Powell. Yeah. The play's basically over for a receiver, so he intuitively runs to a place to get open in case Dobbs needs to throw it. So, like, okay, I mean, that's been quick twitch for skill guys and receivers all their lives, but it hasn't for a little while, but now it has to be again.
P, I remember saying this on your show 2 weeks ago. The fact that Josh Dobbs can run, expect Brandon Powell and a lot of those receivers that we don't hear about to get more catches because they're not the first option when it comes to just dropping back. When Josh Dobbs uses legs, those guys are the first option because they're not expected by the defense to be guarded. They're not expected by the defense to make a catch. My apologies. So I just look at this and just say, look, Josh Dobbs at quarterback, everybody's a valuable option. And even when JJ comes back, I don't expect JJ to have 200, 300-yard games as far as the regular traditional route tree. I expect us to see a different, more explosive, more enthused Justin Jefferson because he knows he has a guy that can run the ball. It makes, as a receiver, it is a dream to have a quarterback that can be a dual threat.
See you Friday, Buffalo Wild Wings, Coon Rapids. Thank you.
Appreciate you, PA.
That's Gabe Henderson at Gabe A. Henderson via Twitter. With Eric Nordquist, I'm Paul Allen from the TCO studios. Around the corner, Brandon Krisztal, a reporter and a talent with a KOA radio in Denver. They carry the Broncos. We'll get an adversarial update, but first, here's Double B.
The cash thing, the fan and 2 Men and a Junk Truck want to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand at the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com, enter the keyword WIN for this hour. The keyword is WIN. KFAN.com, keyword win. Speaking of win, you could win a Wild Wednesday pair of tickets. It is a Wild Wednesday. It's presented by Jim Beam, and we want to send you to the game. Caller 11 right now will win a pair of tickets to see your Minnesota Wild take on the St. Louis Blues Tuesday, November 28th. 1-800-320-5326. 1-800-320.
FAN, the Fan.
You know, you make me feel so good inside. I've always wanted a girl just like you. Such a purity, pretty young thing. Where did you come from, baby? And ooh, won't you take me there?
Here comes BK Brandon Krisztal, a reporter and talent for KOA in Denver. That is the longtime flagship for Denver Broncos football. And with Brandon at BK Denver Sports is where you can follow him as 9 to noon does and learn more about the Broncos and Brandon Krisztal at BK Denver Sports. And here's BK from the Mile High City. I get to see you Sunday, right, man? You're going to come by the Box?
Oh, yeah, I'll be there. I'm not sure how early. I got to do a 3-hour pregame. And so I may swing by the house first, but with a kickoff in time, I'll get there by 4:15. So I'll definitely come see you. Are you one of those play-by-play guys that swings by the field to kind of get the vibe and talk to a coach or two or someone you might know with another team? Or are you only in the booth? Because I've seen it both ways, where some guys will be down there almost the entire pregame, some might stop by, and some aren't there hardly at all.
I will do my first pregame hit for Vikings football Sunday, which I believe will be 5:30 Central, with main man Muss from the field. I go to the field every single game, and I'm down there 50 minutes. So think BK time, probably 4:30 to about 5:15 or so. And if you're interested, man, during the game, you know, we are not averse to having a fair amount of people in what we call the Vox Box, the announcer's booth, home or road. So Master Mixer Jared Wells will slide you some headphones if you want to hang out and listen to the call for a little bit, man. You're always invited.
Maybe I will. It'll be like real life, the quarterback show on Netflix. I'll be living it in real life, where you were the true star, not Patrick Mahomes or Kirk Cousins. You were the real star. Every time I heard your voice, I was like, all right. Or our guy Mitch Holtis in KC. It was a fun added bonus to that series. But no, I will stop by. I will say this. You've been in every booth in the NFL now, I'm fairly certain. And while the Denver booth is not the smallest by any means, it's not huge. So there's not a lot of room. And at least your vantage point is probably about the 35-40 compared to where it might be, say, in Washington or some of those other places that are a disaster. You're in the corner, you're up high. No. So it's pretty user-friendly.
The booth at Empower at Mile High is fantastic from a vantage point standpoint. We have fans right in front of us, which I always enjoy. Then you'll have a beautiful Mile High night and the smell of something that has purple and green hairs in the air the entire evening. That I don't know, man. I mean, the secondhand smoke with 5 dispensaries right outside of the stadium, that may change the call a little bit. Who knows?
What's funny about the dispensary closest to the stadium, they actually have a window that looks at the stadium, and the reason they're allowed to do that is because there's an alley underneath them, like 3 stories below, because it's kind of up on this hill above the parking lots. So they have a beautiful view of downtown and the stadium's not much of a mountain view like you can get from parts of the stadium or parts of downtown, but it's still, it definitely makes its way, at least to the tailgate. I can't speak for inside the stadium, but certainly to the tailgate.
Hey, quickly before I head off to the Broncos, when we chatted with you last, the Dion delirium was greater than the Dobbs delirium here, and subsequently things have fallen off a little bit there, but nevertheless, on the campus of Colorado Boulder, the stadium's called Folsom, right? Folsom Stadium?
Yep, Folsom Field.
Now, Folsom Field. How about this? My daughter, who's a junior there, we went to a Buffalo's game 2 seasons ago and got 2 tickets for $10 each on like the 35-yard line, and they got killed.
Those were the days.
So I was looking at Family Weekend, which was a few weekends ago, and getting out there. And it's like, all right, let me take a peek at some tickets. Like it was the height of Dion delirium, and like there's not a bad seat in the place, and Folsom Field's unbelievable with that view of the mountains. But it was like $315, $350 for the lowest seat price at Folsom Field. It was crazy.
It dropped for the final home game down to about 50 to 85, $90 against Arizona. But they had sellouts for every home game. That's never happened in the history of CU, even in the Bill McCartney era when they were competing for and winning a national championship. They've never been sold out at that capacity. Maybe they were sold out then, but at 53,000 plus, which is where it's at. And they're talking about adding more seats and adding a whole lot more in the Dion era. And, Dion's name is going to come up a bunch, but feel free to share this with your listeners. Because of the NCAA transfer rules, he's not going anywhere. It's not that he's never going to go anywhere. He can't coach his sons and Travis Hunter next year at A&M or at UCLA or name a school. And he has lots of money. Yes, he loves money, and I'm sure he'll take more of it, but there's nothing that says CU won't give him more money. And while they're scratching and clawing to get to a bowl game, and I'm trying to win $100 from my neighbor who said they wouldn't go to a bowl game, this is a bet we made in June. Even with 5 wins, they might sneak in if the Pac-12 bends its rules. But he's not going anywhere, at least for the next year. After that, who knows? But they're getting a bunch of good recruits, and he can have his own kingdom there, and 12 schools get into the playoff, and the Big 12 is more winnable. And you don't have to deal with the BS of guys in the South talking down to you, which is just something that lots of people deal with, but certainly black people in America have dealt with from time to time. Even if he's making 10 times what this booster may want to, may take home, then it's still not going to talk down to you. And so I don't think he's in a hurry to leave, even if other opportunities come up in the next few years.
Hey, BK, do you, Brandon Krisztal, reporter and talent for KOA Denver, flagship for the Broncos at BK Denver Sports, happen to know anything about a man named Brian Flores? And I wonder what he has up his sleeve for old Russell Wilson this weekend.
I'm a big Brian Flores fan, and I've gotten a chance to talk to him in passing over the years of the Combine. He's a pretty straight shooter from what I gather, and I've enjoyed our brief conversations. But you look at what he's done, because I don't love the Vikings defensive personnel across the board. I'm not asking you to say anything one way or the other, but I've certainly seen better defenses, and I'm not even talking about the heyday, whether it was John Randall or Chris Dolman and those guys before him and Keith Millard when they're setting NFL records for sacks or tying it or whatever. But I think there's some vulnerabilities with what he's been able to do. And you look at where their rankings are, and they're top 10 in almost every category, or they're no worse than middle of the pack, except on third down. And in the red zone, it can get a little shaky. I think that Brian Flores is going to have to stop the Broncos run game. And you look at where they are, they're 10th against the run, the Vikings. The Broncos running metrics are good, and their advanced metrics, which is something I don't really understand because I'm not really smart and don't know a lot about math, are apparently off the charts. They're the second best advanced metrics running the ball. So I think you're going to have to slow down the run, because that's what has allowed them to kind of control the games against the Chiefs, even the one they lost on Thursday night and certainly Monday night. I know lots of turnovers, not a lot of points. The offense hasn't been explosive, but similar to what we saw all those years with Russ in Seattle, the defense and the running game have kept the games close. And then when Russ needed to make enough plays, whether he had the refs' help or otherwise, he's been able to make enough plays here in recent weeks.
Last one. Who wins Sunday night and why?
I think I'm going to pick the Broncos only because they've beaten the Chiefs and beaten the Bills, two of the better teams in football. At least that's what we think. Obviously, the Chiefs are the defending champs. With what they were able to do, I really like Kevin O'Connell as a play caller. I've enjoyed getting to know him a little bit, too. I've told you the story that and it's worth to chat with him about. He was ready to get out of the business at the Senior Bowl after getting let go in Washington, but spends a couple years with Sean McVay, and now I think you guys have yourselves a great head coach for a long time. And giving he and Josh Dobbs more time to work together, clearly that paid off last week. But that doesn't mean that the Broncos defense, if they can keep Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen in check, doesn't mean they can't keep Josh Dobbs in check too. So I don't think it's going to be a crazy score. I think it'll be something similar to what we saw the other day on Monday night, where a field goal is probably the difference in the game. And I know it was obviously a last-second field goal. We saw 6 of them last week. So I'm going to pick the Broncos to win, but it will not blow me away with how well the Vikings have played. I also don't know. I mean, Pierre, you're going to split some time running the ball, because the running back situation is a little shaky right now, at least on paper. So I think that they're going to try to expose that for what they can, and then pin their ears back and allow Baron Browning to look like Von Miller Light and try to get after Josh Dobbs a little bit.
The Vikings running game all season has virtually been a non-factor, at least using the running backs. We have 2 rushing touchdowns from actual tailbacks, and the second took place on a direct snap last game against the Saints. But the running game is running game anew. with Josh Dobbs because there are design plays. There are, I mean, it's incredible. Some
and it
things
works.
that we're seeing, man, you know?
It works. It's crazy to think that how devastating that injury to Kirk Cousins was and the reaction and seeing Kevin and the team react the way they did. And so to see what the spark that Josh has brought and his energy and that guy's personality, everybody you talk to will tell you what a great guy he is. And you see that translate, that the Vikings in some ways are playing better. I'm not saying that he is the long-term replacement for Kirk Cousins and you want to see Kirk get back. And I think he means a lot to that community and that team and that franchise and their fans. But I think that Josh Dobbs has been a great shot in the arm. So it will not surprise me at all if the Vikings come in here and get yet another win with Josh Dobbs on this really fun miracle run. I'm just not going to pick it.
See you this Sunday, my man. Thank you very much.
Yes, you will. Thank you. Safe travels, PA.
Yeah, thank you. At BK Denver Sports, at BK Denver Sports is Brandon Krisztal from KOA. Nordo and yours truly, Paul Allen, are with KFAN, and we'll put a wrap on the
Fan.
Ain't nothing I can say.
Final segments 9 to noon, including the 9 to noon show wraps, are always brought to you by Casey's. Casey's, absolutely the best and here for good. But check this out. You can get a large one-topping pizza and then a second one, thin or original crust, at half off. So take advantage of that. And if it's breakfast time you're looking for, any breakfast sandwich or burrito, you get a medium coffee for $1. So stop into Casey's today.
A couple of things to close festivities. The Minnesota Timberwolves take on the Phoenix Suns this evening. It's an 8 o'clock tip, I believe, and you can catch that on the free iHeartRadio app and the designated Timberwolves channel. And they are looking to win 8 in a row for Fincho. Now, Devin Booker, one of the better players in the league, has not, I don't know if he's played any this season, but he definitely hasn't played of late. And I believe he is set to return.
He might come back, yeah.
Yeah, set to return this evening. Bradley Beal used to play for the Washington Wizards. He was out for a while, but he's playing now. And, of course, they have Kevin Durant and Nurkic, the former Trailblazer. So this one this evening, why I bring this up, is because when you beat Golden State in back-to-back games, and then it's elevated by the chicanery or elevated by the emotional wherewithal of everything that took place the last couple of games. I'm just very curious to see how the Timberwolves on a back-to-back against a legitimately good team that could be getting healthy, how this thing's going to work tonight. And good morning.
Good morning. I think it is. It's going to be a weird game, and this will test, I think, or further test the mental wherewithal of this team off the back. And I mean, whether it was Draymond last night, a couple of nights ago, you got Chris Paul jumping for a rebound and kind of intentionally diving in the direction of Mike Conley. I mean, there was some ugly moments in the Bay. So the ability to wipe that away, this could be a great night for Ant. I mean, Ant standing tall with KD, Ant standing tall with Booker back after missing 5 games. He did play a little bit regular, but he's been nicked up, but now he's healthy. This is Bright Light's big show for Ant tonight. So, will the winning, I would bet against probably the winning streak continuing. That's a tough bunch in Phoenix. But what's going to be fun about, and things that we've been praising over the course of the 7-game win streak, is watching this team play tough, be in the mix, and maximize the moments that they have against what appears to be a fully fortified Suns bunch. But I'm looking for Ant in the bright lights tonight to handle this thing.
Quick twitch, if you and Saucy were doing your patented Saturday Turtle Lake thing, and you roll in there and you're like, the game's going to start in 20 minutes, so you got to hustle, and you see Suns minus 5.5. Over under 224.5. Suns minus 210 on the money line. And our squad plus 180. What you going to do with that?
I'm getting 180. Because if quick twitch, I would take that. I would give the points on the Suns.
Yeah.
But again, I want to see this team not get blown out by 30 tonight. I want to see them on a short one on the back-to-back having that fight. But that's where I would be at quickly.
Hey, thank you very much for listening to 9 to Noon, not only today, but each and every day. And likewise for KFAN. Thank you, Brett Blakemore. Thank you, Eric Nordquist. And I'm Paul Allen. Dan Cole, the common man in the program, around the corner on KFAN. Have a good day. Bye.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.